From our studios in Atlanta, this is CBT News. Today's show is brought to you by eLens Solutions. And here now, Bridget Fitzpatrick and Joe Gum.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Welcome back to CBT News. Today is Friday, October 14th. We appreciate you joining us. I'm Joe Gum. To my left, Bridget Fitzpatrick. How you doing?
Here I am. I'm great. How are you doing?
Yeah, we made it past another week,
That's
right?
Happy Friday, everyone.
Good stuff.
Great. Now, it's Friday, so that means we will be taking a look back at the week here at CBT News, where we discussed several key topics and gave plenty of takeaways.
That's right. This week we gave you 4 ways to avoid killing your customer experience, and we told you about an auto retailer that's giving customers the ability to reserve cars from their inventory to test drive and purchase.
We also introduced you to the big box store that's made their way into automotive and how they've formed partnerships with dealers to create new avenues for their customers. And we asked you if you're teaching customers about their new car's technology before they drive off your lot.
Yep, very important there. Now, if you missed any of our great stories that we gave you this week, you can always go back right here and type in the name or topic and pull it up in the search box. Hundreds, maybe even thousands of topics, not topics, but videos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Videos of trainers and people we've interviewed over the last 4 years.
Lots of
a lot of great
great
stuff right there.
information.
A library of information.
Yeah. All right, guys, make sure you mark these dates on your calendar, March 7th through the 9th. These are the dates for the CBT Conference and Expo. It's going to be held at the Hyatt Regency right here in Atlanta. We're going to have awesome keynotes and over 70 Dealer Talks breakout sessions with industry experts.
And it's the lowest dealer price because you know what? Our industry needs this conference. We just made it possible for everyone. So make sure you register for the conference at cbtconferenceandexpo.com.
Okay, so this week we showed you a dealership that projects more than 30,000 new vehicles this year. Galpin Motors has 11 franchises in the Los Angeles area and sells more than 10 brands. We caught up with Brian Allen, Group Director of Business Development with Galpin Motors, at the DealerSocket User Summit to not only figure out what makes Galpin so successful, but how they can continue that success with new technology.
I would tell you the first thing is make sure you have a process to engage with your customers 24/7.
Email, text, phone call, no
Correct.
matter what it is.
Correct.
Just do it.
And a technology that's coming on very fast, there are several vendors and it's growing, is where you have conversational artificial intelligence. If somebody says, I want to make a service appointment, the old school way is they got to go on a calendar, figure it out, match their calendar. Now you can just say, I want to service my car tomorrow at 8 a.m. and there's a text or an email response, in some cases verbal. But it's not a human being, and it's 24/7. But the key is this: your website has to reflect how easy it is to do business with you, because if they sense that, then they're going to love coming in the store. Because I don't believe a large percentage of business will be online, but it starts online. And if you can't engage them there, they're never going to see you. And that's our whole motive, our reason for living right now, is to make it seamless, online to in-store, to create the business and make it easy that, frankly, a lot of other retail industries have done a real good job at.
All right, great advice from Brian right there. You know, your website has to reflect how easy it is to do business with you, right?
That's right.
Yeah, it does. If it's hard, people are like, no, too hard.
No.
I'm out of here. All right, this week we also talked about a new study commissioned by Kelley Blue Book. They found that despite all of the efforts being made today towards advancing self-driving technology, motorists are not exactly embracing it or racing to embrace it.
That's right, and more than 2,200 customers were interviewed, and according to Rebecca Linland, senior analyst with KBB, people still love driving their vehicles. Now listen to what she says about dealers and their role when it comes to autonomous cars.
I guess here's the $64,000 question. How did most of those consumers feel about autonomous vehicles currently? Because that is a very hot topic right now in the auto industry.
It is a very hot topic, and naturally there was a lot of differing opinions. One of the most fascinating things that we found is that the country is really divided, literally 51-49, in terms of people that would like the vehicles, but they don't want to give up control. They recognize that the roads potentially could be safer, but they don't want to give up control of their vehicles. And so that was one of the really interesting things that we found, is that there's still a lot of work to do in terms of understanding and educating consumers on what this really looks like and what that loss of control may mean for them.
Okay, so how do consumers' opinions around autonomous vehicles affect their shopping behaviors? I think that's very important for our dealers to understand.
It is. And the dealers are going to play an incredibly important role in the adoption rates of these vehicles. Vehicles are becoming more and more complex, more and more complicated. It's not just a case of being able to, to get into your vehicle and turn the radio knob. Suddenly there's often 3 and 4 different things you need to do just to adjust the station. And the dealer is going to have time and education to make sure that consumers are comfortable with things like adaptive cruise control. So that means that the vehicle will actually, when you're in cruise control, it will actually change the speed with which you're going, depending upon what happens in front of you. And I can tell you, as somebody that has driven hundreds and hundreds of different vehicles over nearly 20 years, I had a really hard time getting used to that when I was trying to drive that way in a Toyota Prius recently. And so it's going to definitely have an impact on how consumers use their vehicle and how you interact with your vehicle.
Yeah, and of course, when a dog or a cat or a kid messes with the radio, of course, all hell breaks loose. That's another 2 hours in the car. Okay, so tell our dealers how they can prepare for the future with autonomous vehicles.
So the role of the dealer here is really to educate themselves, educate their staff, educate their service people, so that when their buyers and their owners call or come in, they can explain all this type of technology and people can be comfortable with it.
Another great story from this week was the one about Denise Burney, president and dealer principal of Matt Burney Honda. Denise experienced 3 hardships all around the same time, and people told her that she would be better off selling her dealership. But instead of doing that, she changed the name of her store after her brother Matt Burney, embraced her 65 employees as her family, and according to Brian Walsh, the GM and partner, set a precedent for having a culture of giving back to the community in so many ways.
Denise Burney, the president and dealer principal with Matt Burney Honda. She's a 3rd-generation owner that follows one major core principle her grandfather instilled in her, and it's this: the dealership succeeds mainly because of the impeccable customer service skills. So, Brian, what do you guys do to go above and beyond what others might not do in that area?
Well, you know what, Joe? I think that's something that's instilled in every employee here from day one. It's been the motto of the Burney family to take great care of every customer that ever walks in the store. And I think in doing that preemptively, we take great care of the employees, and happy employees are always going to be much better with the customers. We do a lot of little things differently. I think that a sale at Matt Burney Honda forms an advocacy, a relationship with the customer. I'll give you, for instance, this week we had an owner's clinic. It's a customer appreciation owner's clinic, and we had almost 100 people here, which is pretty much unheard of for those clinics. We serve food. We talk a lot about the dealership, about the history of the dealership. We speak to different people about what's going on here and what we're doing in the community aside from the car business. And we also invite the community to those events. It's a situation where we have people that not only are our customers, but that aren't our customers. Another thing is that in the advocacy that's formed through a sale, a lot of our service business goes through our sales department. Our salespeople very oftentimes will escort their customers back to service and become their advocate, and sometimes be a little bit of a translator between the writer and the customer. And all those things have worked really well for us. And it's getting to know the customers, knowing their names, and knowing who they are as customers, and not just that they are a customer.
Let's go back to your employees and some more bragging on them. Denise Burney has said before her ego isn't tied into the auto industry, therefore not measuring the success of the dealership and, of course, the bottom line, but by the people who have helped her run the store for 12 years. That's actually a quote. So talk about your hiring process, Brian, and what you guys do to hire and retain top quality people like you have.
She would make one correction in that. It's not just the people that run the dealership. She has a lot of pride in the success that 55 employees here have. And if you knew Denise, when she walks in the door, the maintenance guys, the recon guys, the general manager, the floor managers, it doesn't matter who it is. Every one of those people are equally as important to Denise. But Denise is the type of person that at Christmas time, she goes and not only does she pay off everybody's layaway at certain stores that have toys involved with them, but she gives every maintenance man $100. It's things like that that she's always done on the side for people. And if you knew Denise, when she comes into this dealership, she spends as much time in the back with the technicians, across the street with the reconditioning department, as she does with me. And for her, it's always been about relationships, and that's what she instills in all of us.
Well, what a great story right there.
Yes.
Overcoming tragedy, embracing the 65 employees, turning that dealership into a community outreach center almost.
Yeah,
they
great
do so
story.
much great stuff. And I know a lot of dealers that watch us do. So,
Right.
you
It's
know,
vital. It is
good
vital.
job to all of
Yeah.
you who reach out to the community.
Yeah.
And not just because you're selling cars, but because
know,
you actually
because you
care.
actually care,
That's
right.
important. Okay, so we wrapped up this week asking, as a dealership, is it okay to ask your technology vendors that you work with about their security policies and processes? Well, Jeff Barr, Director of Product Management from CDK, says how you manage these vendors could reduce your data security risk. So yes, ask away, especially when it comes to non-DMS approved connections. Check it out.
There are several examples of this, including installing software on a dealer system, providing vendors with user IDs and passwords, using terminal emulators that do screen scraping or reverse screen scraping. And this is similar to allowing someone to take control of your PC, and it gives them the ability to extract and insert data. All of these methods do not give the dealer the ability to restrict what data is accessed, nor where it's being sent.
Okay, then, so let's talk about the issues that are at stake when non-DMS approved connections are used.
Sure. The short answer is there's a lot of risk. Dealers are unable to verify whether the data was transmitted securely or encrypted, and dealers don't have any visibility to what was collected and where it was sent.
Okay, so then should dealerships ask third parties about their security policies and processes?
Yes. We think dealers should ask their vendors what protections they have in place to prevent sensitive customer information from getting in the wrong hands, what controls are in place to prevent intellectual property from being resold without the dealer's knowledge, and does the access method put limits on what data can be accessed so the dealer's proprietary business information and financial data is not at risk.
Okay, are there other risks that dealerships need to know about beyond the security of the data?
Absolutely. This isn't only a matter of security. Non-DMS approved connection methods can also significantly impact a dealer's operations. In many cases, unsecure methods can cause data corruption, degrade a dealer's system performance. And lastly, non-DMS approved connections are also frequently disrupted by the software updates and enhancements made by DMS providers.
Okay, are there steps CDK Global is taking to help dealers manage third-party access more securely?
Yes, we're making ongoing DMS and application security enhancements. We have a huge investment in that program. We offer education, guidance, and support to our clients to help them make informed decisions. And lastly, we're giving dealers greater visibility to their third-party integrations. We introduced a new tool in late 2015 called Dealer Data Exchange at no cost to our clients, and it gives them the ability to monitor anytime data moves into or out of the four walls of their dealership. It provides them also with the ability to monitor non-authorized activity so they can take appropriate action.
Okay, so if you missed these stories or any other conversations we had this week, you can always go back again anytime and watch them on demand right here at cbtnews.com.
That's right, and we want to give you a quick preview of FNI Today with Becky Chernick. Today, Becky sits down with Jonathan Dawson to discuss hybrid sales associates and what some dealers are doing to create the ultimate customer experience.
Well, so I think the term hybrid sales associate is similar to the term BDC now, right? So you can say, what's a BDC? And you get 5 different people to give you 5 different answers for what a BDC is. So I think the same thing is starting to happen with this concept called hybrid sales associate, where they're doing different things than what the traditional sales role has always been. So rather than just having them meet and greet, close the deal, and then turn it over, more and more dealers are entertaining what would it look like if we had a salesperson involved in the finance process.
All right, so there you go. Make sure you check out FNI Today to hear more thoughts on hybrid sales associates and having a salesperson involved in the finance process.
All right, guys, when we come back, we'll give you a rundown of our weekly shows and a preview of Progressive Retail with Corey Mosley.
When you know your new car competition better than they do, there's no competition at all. That's how Conquest works. The new car inventory management and pricing tool from the leaders in inventory management at Viato.
Are you selling 8 to 10 cars per month and you want to increase that average to 12 to 14 cars per month? Let me show you how. Every Monday on Straight Talk with David Lewis.
All right, so there's a lot more going on here at the CBT Automotive Network. Every day we bring you an episode of one of our weekly shows.
That's right. On Mondays, we bring you an episode of Straight Talk with David Lewis.
On Tuesdays, we have our Service Center weekly tune-up with our man Jeff Cowan. And the Tom Stuker Show as well with Tom Stuker.
Brian Pash hosts Auto Marketing Now, and Mark Tewart hosts the show On the Mark every Wednesday.
On Thursdays, we bring you Kane & Company with David Kane.
On Fridays, it's FNI Today with host Becky Chernick and Progressive Retail with Corey Mosley. This week, Corey talks about following up with customers. Check it out.
On today's show, I can't help but discuss, as my grandmother would say, an oldie but goodie, and that's follow-up. I have found over the years working with salespeople across the country that most of the time we fail at follow-up because we run out of things to say. Listening to probably thousands of phone calls many times, I hear conversations that remind me of the stages of a breakup. You know, desperation, denial, bargaining, anger, acceptance. You guys know what I'm talking about.
All right, so there you go. Check it out. Progressive Retail with our man Corey Mosley. In fact, check them all out.
Yeah.
Our trainers are the best.
They really
That's why
are.
they're on
They are
here,
the best in the
because they know
business.
exactly what they're talking about. Great content. And how about this? It's free.
I know.
All
Isn't
the
that
time, 24/7, 365. And of course, on Saturdays, we pump you up for that big weekend of sales with Saturday morning sales meeting this week with Jonathan Dawson.
All right, guys, be sure after today's newscast to check out Car Biz Today magazine, where you can check out articles and get plenty of takeaways and get great insight from our industry experts and insiders.
And while you're online, do not forget to connect with us on social media for more CBT news, highlights of our shows, interviews, announcements, and of course, much more. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn.
From all of us here at CBT News, I'm Bridget Fitzpatrick.
And I'm Joe Gum. Make it a great Friday and a great weekend of sales. We'll see you back here on Monday.
Thank you for watching the official news source of the retail automotive industry, CBT News. Today's show is brought to you by ELEN Solutions.